us. We know that. In Acts chapter 2, verse 32 and following, we talked about this to some degree last week. Beginning in verse 32, Peter says that this Jesus, of course, before the previous verses they thought that Peter was drunk because he was speaking in tongues, and they thought everybody was all the other apostles thought they had a little bit too much to drink on this day, the day of Pentecost. But Peter began to explain to them, these men are not drunk. In verse 32, this Jesus God raised up again, to which we are all witness. And we, in our class on Sundays, we talked about John, how Peter, of course, and John and all the apostles, they witnessed his resurrection, that they were there when he after his resurrection. Therefore, having been exalted to the right hand of God, and having received from the Father the promise of the Holy Spirit, he has poured forth this which you both see and hear. Now, Peter is telling them that the promise that Jesus made to them, and way back there in John chapter 14, he talks about the promise that he made to them, which is the Holy Spirit, the Comforter, the Helper, that he will help them and also to encourage them. But this, Peter says, now here it is. The promise of the Holy Spirit has poured forth this which you both see and hear. And we know that another thing is too, we need to recognize that the Holy Spirit, of course, is not an it. He is a he. Okay? The Holy Spirit is not an it. For it was David who, as ascending into heaven, but he himself says, the Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand until I make thy enemies a footstool for my feet. Therefore let all the house of Israel know for certain that God has made him both Lord and Christ. Now, in using that passage, what's he trying to tell us? If Jesus is both Lord, not only is he Lord, but he's Savior. But using that passage, most people want him to be Savior, but they leave the rest of the part out. You know what I'm saying? The first part is important, just as important as well as the second part. Am I right? Everybody wants to be saved, but nobody wants to be told what to do. You know? And usually, if you have a Lord in your life, usually if someone is your master, guess what he does? He tells you what to do. You don't tell him what to do. And for the most part, he's not going to tell you anything bad what to do. He's going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And he's going to tell you what he wants you to hear. Am I right? So that's one thing that for the most part, the world, as I said before, the world wants to be saved. But not everybody wants God to be Lord of their life, or Jesus wants to be Lord of their life. Verse 37, now when they heard this,